All right, so we still need to level the floor to the shed. I don't know. How are we going to do that? Well, let's go find out. Thank you, Willow. So here we are back on a different day. Welcome back to the journey, friends. So yeah, still out here on a super hot day. Whew, man. But I need to make a water level. That way I can verify that this floor is nice and flat before we start putting up walls. So let's get you guys flipped around. We'll go over here to my little building table and we'll get this thing put together. All right, so to get this started off, it's got a few things that you're gonna need to get. You're gonna need to get, so this is a 3/8 interior diameter tubing. I got 100 feet of this, which is actually now it's 99 feet, because I stole a foot off of it for something else. And then you need the pieces that goes along with that. So this is a 3/8 barbed. And this just goes to a 1/2 inch, basically the pipe thread. And then same thing, but this is a 90-degree elbow. And this is going to be basically for the bottom. All right. Well, actually, this one's going into the bucket. Because I'm not separating or cutting the tubing as it sits on my stick, which you're going to need some type of stick. I just have a little 2x3. Roughly 2 foot long. It doesn't need to be significant. But then I also got the radiator clamps or hose clamps for the tubing. I got a nice big flat rubber washer, another O-ring, another just a flat washer. This is actually a stainless steel because it's going to be inside the bucket. And then this is actually going to be found over next to your well supplies, or like the well pumps and stuff like that. This is actually an air release. So this actually goes on to like your tanks and stuff like that. But this is going to be up at the top with this. And what that's going to allow me to do is to get air out of the hose to allow the water to come in from my bucket. Is this will still be pressurized. I can release the amount of air that I need to out of here, and but then be able to close it off. That way I'm not losing water. All right. So you can get that, and then obviously the coupling that goes with that allows you to attach that your pieces. All right. And yeah, the straight one's going to the bucket. This one was going for my tubing, because I actually had this where it's going to be at a 90. And how we're going to put this together, okay, this is going to go into my coupling. This is going on to my 90. This is going to come up here with my tube. And how I'm going to attach those to the stick is with, these are screw mount cable ties. So I'm going to have my cable tie go around to my tubing, and then I'll utilize the screw hold down to screw it down into the wood with the cable tie. All right. So that's basically the things you're going to need. You're going to need a drill for drilling a hole into your bucket. Obviously a bucket, I have a used one that I'm going to use. And then my drill and all the loveliness. So let's go ahead and jump right to it. Get this thing put together. Actually, this drill bit's a little big for this, so I'm gonna go see if I can't find something a little bit better. All right, so I got the proper drill bit that I needed to find. Even though I have the rubber washer, I still would like it to fit somewhat snug. All right, so at the bottom of your bucket, doesn't matter where, just the bottom of your bucket. You can see that. Drill a hole. And I didn't go all the way to the bottom. I did leave a little bit of a space because I had that big rubber washer, and I want to make sure that that big rubber washer will seal up that hole. Okay. So for this one, plus I do have another little rubber washer on the outside. So I'm gonna put that here. And that's a good fit. Actually, let me grab a wrench. That way I can get that turned down just a little bit better. I got my wrench. Do that just until that O-ring starts to bulge a little bit. And then on the inside, that's where I'm putting the flat washer, or that rubber washer, that flat washer, and then I'm utilizing this coupling kind of like as a nut. All right, so I got that finished, tightened up. Now we'll connect our hose to our bucket, go fill up the bucket, and verify that we don't have any leaks, because that's the most important thing with this system. And yes, before anybody says in the comments, I know that they make the bulkhead attachments specifically for, putting pipes and stuff like that through a bucket or through a wall or through things like that, and it is sealed automatically, but my store did not have any, so I went with the next best thing that I could think of. So all right, let's go get this over to the well, and let's get it filled up with some water. Okay, we made it over here next to the well. There's the well. So let's go ahead and get this filled up with some water. Make sure we don't have any leaks. So far so good, I don't see no leaks. So water will go into your tube whenever you're first filling this up. It's not going to fill it up completely, so you need to make sure that you're putting enough water into your bucket, getting out any trash, any floaters. You don't want that going into the line. Alright, so let me finish filling this up, and then we'll get you guys back over to the platform. And like I said, wait until the end. That's what I said at the beginning. Wait till the end, and you'll see how you put this thing to use. So, alright, we'll see you over there. However, before I show you how to use it, you want to make sure that you stretch out your line, because this is the point where you're going to fill it. You're going to fill it and get all the air out. So now I need to go down here to where the air valve is, and hold that down until I start seeing water come out the top. I just took this out completely so you can see the water running. All right, we'll come over here. I don't know if you can see it on camera. You start seeing the water run. See, it's coming up around the bend. Okay, because right now, everything that I have is lower than the bucket. Okay, so what you're trying to do, so right now everything's working off of gravity. It's all coming from the bottom of the bucket. Okay, so it's going to keep coming down, because water is going to find level. Whenever it finds that it's level with itself, for whatever the water is in the bucket. Okay, so right now we're right here. Okay, and it's not moving. So let's go check the water in our bucket. See where we're at. All right, there's still a lot of water in the bucket. And I know, like, you walk your line, see if that there's any air bubbles. See, you're gonna come up to stuff like this. Air bubbles, okay? Which is fine, because you're gonna have air in the system, but you're gonna wanna get all those bubbles out. So see, like, there's a big bubble right here. But that's why I said to remove that air fitting. Get that water flowing. All right, so I actually sped up the process a little bit. I went and stuck the hose into the bucket. You can watch all the air bubbles go all the way down the line. I didn't show it to you guys, but I still got water coming out because I'm still below my water line at the bucket, which is fine. So what I want to do now, okay, is I can go ahead and start bringing this up. Get away from it. Got a dang fly. Go ahead and start bringing this up. That's going to introduce air into the line. Okay, and water's going to level itself. It might take it a little bit to go up and down, up and down. That's also why you want to get rid of the air pockets. Because if you have an air pocket inside the line, it's going to affect your measurement. So you want all your air to be up here, you know, at the end. So let me go ahead and close this off. See, it's not going to move that much right now because there's no place for the air to go. So that's why whenever you're using this, you want it to be able to move, that you're pressing in on your air release. Or if you have one of those little keys where you can back out that stem, you can do that as well. See, doesn't move. All right, so let's go double check the line, and then we'll take this up and I'll go show you how we're gonna use it. Okay, I got my bucket in place. Now, as you can see, top of my bucket, which my water right here, top of my bucket, is higher than the elevation that I'm gonna be checking. So that's the important part. The dimensions, or however tall or however short it is above the thing that you're checking, doesn't really matter, as long as it's a comfortable working level for you. So this is what's going to happen. So I need to check this corner right here first, but I stretched out my line. You can probably see I have my other head is all the way over there. So let me go get that and be right back. All right, so I got the head of my, or the working end, I guess, of this. So I don't know if you can tell, but water's right here, and the water in my bucket is about up here. So those aren't exactly level. You're like, well, Anson, I thought water always finds level. Well, it does, as long as you're letting the air out of your system. Plus, it has 99 feet of hose to work with. It's not instantaneous. All right, we'll see. Looks pretty dang spot on to me. So what I'm gonna do now is come over here to this corner. Now, the most important part of this whole thing is making sure that you don't have any kinks in your hose, because if you restrict the flow of water, obviously it's not going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and come up here, release my air, or let air in wherever it needs to go. You just keep holding it until it stops. All right, that looks like it stopped to me, so I'll make a mark. And if you don't want to keep marking up your wood, you can always put like a piece of tape down. Or you can even raise your water up higher. Like if you're not wanting to bend down, if you want to see it up here, you know, kind of eye level, raise your bucket up some, which I'm probably going to do. I'm just showing you guys, you know, basically how you check it. So now what I'm going to do, I have my mark of where this corner is. So now I will go to the other side and check it and see how far off I am. Okay, now I'm over here in the opposing corner. So I got it up there. Go ahead and push in my air valve. So if you do that and your water's not moving, you know, double check, go to a different area and then come back. Just to make sure that you don't have any, you know, kinks or whatever. All right, so from right there, it looks like it stopped moving. So I'm gonna take my pencil. And give it a mark. Now it doesn't matter if you're high or low, okay? Because to get to this mark, you can always adjust. So if you're down, if your mark is below your top mark, then that means that this is too high. That you need to come down on that. That way your water comes up to your level. So, and it looks like I'm high on this corner by a little over an inch. So let me get a tape measure. All right, got a tape measure, but like I said before, make sure you don't have any kinks. Actually, when I went to go get that, I noticed that I had a kink and did that. So I'm gonna go ahead and redo my valve. See if I can get this to move any. It wasn't closed completely, but it was kinked. Okay. And it did move just a slight bit. All right, so from there, I can take my measurement. So I'm 1 1/8 inch high on this corner, which I already knew that. So, but that's the process of how to make and use a water level, or at least one way of doing it, how I did it. All right, there's many ways of making a water level, as long as, you know, there are a few things that you have to look out for. There's no air in your line that does affect the measurement. I highly recommend only using a 3/8 inch tubing, because the 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch, it doesn't work nowhere near as well. And it really doesn't matter the length of your tubing, but just remember, the longer the tubing is, the longer it's going to take for that water to settle out and get to where it needs to be. So sometimes you have to have a little bit of patience. So it's best to where you can use like the quick couplings, to where if you want to have, you know, like 25 or 50 foot sections, you know, just depending on what you're going to be using it for, then that is okay. I did not necessarily do that for this build. I might upgrade this later to where I will have, you know, quick disconnects, to where if I only need 20 foot, I'm gonna use 20 foot. But if I need 50 feet, then I'm gonna use a 50 foot section. So, but all right, you guys, I'm gonna keep cracking at this. It's still hot. It's been hot. And one of these days I'll actually get to building some walls. But okay, y'all, I definitely appreciate you guys for following the journey. Whoo, yeah. Man, I'm about ready for some fall weather. I don't know about y'all. Last but not least, remember to always thank a veteran every chance you get, not only on Veterans Day. We'll see you on the next one. Later, y'all.